Hello and welcome back. So in this video, we would look at how to do Gnuplot scripts. So after watching this video, you should know how to write Gnuplot scripts. In the previous video, we spoke about how to use Gnuplot interactively, and then we realized that after we exit Gnuplot, if we relaunch it, we would have to redo these configurations over and over again, which may be daunting and repetitive. So we would like to put all of these commands into one script and then run them once. As and when we need to plot other graphs, we just have to go and change the commands or the graph names and then the output names, and then we'll be done. And we'll have to we'll just rerun them again. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So basically, if you want to run Gnuplot script, all you have to do is first you prepare your canvas. What do I mean by that? You prepare your graph sheet, you set your axes, your labels and everything. You set your output file and all those things. Then after that, you then plot. So to prepare your canvas, you first set the image type and size. As you saw in the previous video, you set the image type, that's PNG, and then the size, that you determine the size you want. Then after that, you set your output file name, the file in which you want the graph to be saved and how you want it to be saved. So you put the file name here. If you want to add an extension, you add all the extensions here. Then after that, you configure your axis, your X and Y axis. Do you want to position the X at the center or not? Do you want to start from 0 and all those things? And then you set your title key and key. So we said that to set a title, you first have to set the key. You may not know how your Gnuplot is configured by default, so you should always do the set key and then before the set title. That is if the script you're writing is for a specific graph, right? As we saw earlier in the previous video, we could also set the title for each graph in the plot command of each graph. So if you know that maybe the script you are writing is a generic one, then you should avoid setting a title here, but you should instead set a title while plotting the graph. But if the script you're writing is just for a specific plot, then you can set a title and then before you even plot the graph. So in plotting, you could see that here I decided to put the X range and the Y range here simply because you may not know that all the graphs you may need or you'll be plotting would have the same ranges, right? Will have the same X values and the Y values. So it's safer to include the X range and Y range immediately after the plot so that each plot may have different range values if you want to. But if you know that you are just writing a script for just a specific plot, then you can just set the X range, Y range here. So let's look at an example. So prepare your canvas. So one example could be you set terminal PNG size to 1080 by that. And then you set output, then you set the file name, then you set your X range, your Y range, and then the X labels. That is if you want to have the X and Y axis labeled well for you, you can set them. Your Y label to you get them ready. So basically this is it. But then as always, if you want to write a script, you first have to open your favorite text editor. You can use gedit, you can use VS Code if you not want. You can use Nano or Vim if you also want to, right? So maybe for this video I'll use Nano, and then so you can use Nano, then the name of the file. So let's say GNU script 1. So GNU script 1 or GNU plus script 1. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to give it. Dot what, or let me say dot gp. GP is for GNU, sorry, GP for Gnuplot. So this will just enable us to easily identify this script or this file as a Gnuplot file, right? So just like bash script, you do sh, Gnuplot, you do GP. Okay. So now we are inside our GNU script GP. And while we are here, we can always set our terminal or prepare our canvas. So I said prepare canvas. So to write a comment, you use hash to write a comment. Prepare canvas. So first you set the terminal what size. So after this video, I will send a link to download all these files down the description, so you can go check it out if you want to. So you set terminal size or image size. So size here. So to do that, you said you add the command set terminal png size, and then you give the size of the image you want, so 1080 by what, 720. Then after setting terminal png size, you want to set what, the output. So you set output name or file name. So I'm call it output image name. So these comments are just to help you know what each command is doing. So this will be set output, then you set the image name. So plot, let me just call it plot1.png, right? And then after setting then you can choose to set your X and Y ranges here on the go, or you choose to set them while plotting. So I choose to set them while plotting. So here I can, okay, but then let's do this one here so that you can see how you can override these things later. So set X and Y axis, so that we can easily put all of the configurations together. So you setting X and Y axis, you set what, X range, and then for the sake of the data I'll be plotting, let me use 10 to 90. Bear in mind that your range values would vary. Y range, or let's do all the X ones first. Then set X label to steps. Once again, it's because of the files or the data I'm plotting. So yours could be time, yours could be anything, right? And then I set my axis. Okay, the axis should still be like that. Then I set Y range to just be empty, right? So I could choose to not even set it at all, and then set Y axis, oh no, Y label as what, maybe energy, right? So here I can now plot the graph. So basically I am done. No, we said we have to set the key. I set key and title if possible. So let's just set key. So to do that, you use a set key command, but then this time I want to put a key to the left side of my canvas or my sheet, right? So I have this. So now we have this. The next thing we do is to plot our graph. Either it's a data or a function, right? So if you know you are just watching this video, you can go watch the first 2 videos to get an insight to what we are doing, and then you can come back here and continue from here. So to do that, we say plot, then we already set the ranges, so we don't have to reset them here, right? So we have plots, and then from here I have, so you can give the image the file name. Make sure that any file that you are including here should have the what, the, okay, even before then, let's look at this. Let's save this file quickly. Yes, so Control X to, and then Y to yes, or you can do Control O to write the file, and then Control X to exit the file. Sorry about that. Then the next thing we do, you set key to the left, and then you plot our data, right? So I want to plot my data. So Gnuplot, sorry, I use Nano to open my Gnuplot scripts. Wanted to show you how this would do, but then let's just finish plotting first, right? So plot my graph. So I say plot my data. Make sure that the file you are including is at the same location as the graph you are, the script you are running, or where you are running the script at, else you get an error. So I said my data using what? Column 1 and 2, set the title towards time versus no steps versus kinetic energy, right? So in RY, then I can set my line type to be maybe 17, my line color to be maybe 18. We said that if you want to check the values of this, you just type test in the Gnuplot and then you see the possible values this can take. And then after setting my line type, my line color, I can say, okay, let me do the line width to be maybe 4. I want this to be very thick. And then width lines. So either you type the width in full or you do W with L or LP for line points, right? Okay, so you have this. So let's save this file and see. So you can do Control O to write to file. What's the name? I want to keep this name. And then when you are done, you do Control X to exit. This is Nano. We use Nano for it. Right. So now we are done plotting. The next thing we do is see how we can run it. So to run it, we use the name of the utility, that's the Gnuplot, then the name of the script. So I do Gnuplot, and then we called it GnuScript, right? So GnuScript.gp. So we are using Gnuplot to run this script for us. So when I hit enter, hopefully if I do ls, I should see what? A plot1.png file here, right? So we said that if you want to view, you can install ImageMagick and then use display command and then the name of the file you want to display. Here we could see that when I check the file, you could see that now the values or the graph has been plotted nicely for me. So this is it. I have x ranging from 10 to 90 as discussed, and then the x label sets to steps, the y label is set to energy, and then I have this, right? So basically this is this, right? So you can always come back or go back to your script to edit or adjust the configurations you want. So the next thing is I want to see how I can use one script to plot multiple graphs, right? So it means if I want to plot multiple graphs, all I have to do is set the output file name differently and then override some of the settings if I want to, and then I'd run the plot again. So let me do Control C to exit the display. Then now if I do, so for the sake of you guys, I can, let me copy the Gnuplot script. So cp Gnuplot GnuScript actually, and then I want to call it multiple GnuScript GnuScript.gp so that we have the same data. So if I nano multiple this, now I still have the same configurations, right? So I can just come here. You see that the first graph we plotted had these values. So we could come here and change something here so that we feel like it's different, right? Now down here, assuming I want to plot a continuous function, so plot function or second graph. Let me say second graph here. So the second graph here, I can now override some of the settings above. So if I want to maybe reset my axis, so I can do set x label to maybe time or something, or x axis, let's just call it x values, and y label to f of x, and then I want to set 0 axis. So first things first, let's just do this, set 0 x 0 axis, This, we said this will put the thing in the middle, and then you set your x to axis, and then you set y0 axis, 0 axis, then you set your y6 to axis, so that it will put the numbering on the axis in the middle for us. Okay, so now that we are done with this, we now set the label, then the y label to as well. Then from here, bear in mind that this configuration is overwriting the previous one that we did, right? If you don't overwrite the range, it will still use the range for us. So this time around, I want to be able to use this configuration for most of the plots I'll be doing down here. So I'll not set the default range. All I'll have to do is start my plotting. Sorry, let's set the title. Okay, we will set the title down there as well. But then let's set the key to the right. Set key to the right, so that now our function and everything will be at the right. So here, if we try plotting the value, all we have to do is to plot, then the graph, but then we set the range. So from the x values, I want them to range from -20 to 20, and then the y values, I want them to range from maybe -2 to 2. And then the function I'm plotting is just sine x, right? But then I'm setting the title. So setting the title to be graph of sine x, sine of x. And then the line type, maybe 20, line color to be, let's say 40, something like this. No, let's do 18. You have to be sure that the line color exists, else you get error, right? So now I have this, and then what else do I want? With line points? No, it's a continuous function, so we can't get a point. What else? I think this should be fine, right? So now let's see when I save this file. So Control O to save, you hit enter to save, and then Control X to exit. So to run it, we said that you do Gnuplot. Now this file is called multi GNUscript.gp, right? And I hit enter. I expect now there's a problem here, because let's run it and see. When I do ls, we just see just plot 1, right? But then this plot 1 was supposed to come from the first plot, right? So when I display plot 1.gp, you see that we have this plot, right? Okay, which means that the second graph that we had, we didn't save it. So since we didn't save it, we can't see it, right? So let me clear the screen and then rewrite the nano multi-scripts here. So here that we set a new configuration, we're supposed to set a new, if we want to keep the other files, we can just set new outputs, right? So that this file will be saved there. So trig functions, trig graph.png, so that we have this one stored separately for us as well. So you run the GNU plot to plot the graph, and this time when you do ls, we should see the trig whatever here. So when I clear and I use display for the trig something, I should see my sine graph here nicely with the desired color and everything type that I chose. You saw that the graph is in the middle, the x and y axis is in the middle, the labels are f of x and then x as well, and interesting stuff here. So you can come and then Control C to close that one. You can come and then, do, let's say, bear in mind that I am using Nano. You can use Vim, you can use VS Code, you can use any of these things. So you can come and then maybe add another graph to it. So you can plot multiple functions on the same canvas, right? You said that to do that, all you have to do is bring a comma, the name of the next function. So let's say I want to do tan of x like this, and then set the, but if you don't configure the axis, it will still use, this is the same plane, so you're expecting to use the same axis, but then I want line color to be 12, line type to be 15, and then line width, I want this width to be very thick, so line width to be maybe 4, right? Then I can do Control O to write, Control X to exit, and then I type Gnuplot, and then the name of the file to run the command. If I do ls, I should see the two plots here. If I do display thread, I should see the two graphs. Oops, I didn't see the two graphs. Come, let me check something. The reason being that if I do ls, I do cat, then multi script. When we check, we see that the value tan was plotted with a first graph, right? We actually wanted to include it here, but then let's see whether it's added to the other one. If I do display, and then we called it plot one, right? .png. If I hit enter, I should see it here. So you see that now it plots these two graphs, the first one here, and then the tan graph here for me. So basically this is it. You have to make sure that you add the second function to the appropriate graph that you are interested in, right? Don't forget that garbage in, garbage out. So basically that's for the plotting of multiple graphs. So I can do nano and then multi and then correct that mistake if I want to. But basically that's how you plot. You can do the same thing for multiple data files. You can do the same thing for values and anything at all you want to do, right? Okay, let me just leave it that way. And that'll be all for this video. So now we've seen how to plot multiple graphs using the same GNU script. All you have to do, if you want to, you set your new output file and then you override certain commands that you want to override, also to use the same configuration as the previous one, and then plot your file. The best thing is to always set your X range and Y range while you are plotting, so that every graph in your script will have a different value. When you are done, you'd just run your script using the Gnuplot, the name of the file, and then you run your GNU scripts. So basically then the image will be placed in the same directory as the script was run. If you're running on a data file, make sure that you have the data file in the same directory as your GNU script. So basically that will be all for this video. The next video we'll look at how to plot 3D graphs using Gnuplot, and then look at how we can actually visualize certain 3D functions and then see how best we can utilize Gnuplot to do these things. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends so they can also enjoy this video and learn new things as well. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you.